I'm Abigail, and let me tell you a story, my story. When I was 16, my parents left him at a train station, not by accident, not because they forgot they did it on purpose. They wanted to teach me a lesson, to see how long it would take me to find my way home. I never went back, but 20 years later they found me. Not because they missed me, not because they regretted what they did, they found me because they needed something: money, support, control, and when I refused, they didn't stop at guilt, they turned my own family against me. They spread lies, they tried to destroy everything I built. July heat clung to my skin as I leaned against the car window half asleep, my headphones drowning out the hum of the highway. My parents, Magnus and Celesta, sat up front, bickering about something. I had long since tuned out. The road stretched endlessly ahead, cutting through miles of Alabama's back roads. We had just spent the weekend visiting my older sister Vivon at college. The tripod bin routine, Vivon pretending everything was fine, Mom making passive-aggressive comments about how I should be more like my sister, and Dad barely acknowledging either of us, unless it was to bark in order. I was used to it. It was just another day in our family, another lesson, another test. I cracked my eyes open as the car slowed down. A train station sat just off the highway. A relic off, another time rusted and nearly abandoned. Dad pulled into the lateral in the car to a stop by a pair of old vending machines. Go grab me a soda, he said without looking at me. I yanked my headphones down and blinked. What? Mom turned in her seat, flashing me the kind of forced smile that never reached her eyes. Get your father a drink, honey, and grab me a water, I sighed, pushing open the door. The heat hit me like a wall as I stepped out on cracked pavement. I didn't bother arguing, it never worked anyway. The vending machines sat beside the station entrance, their faded decals peeling from the years of sun exposure. I dug a $5 bill from my pocket and fed it into the slot, pressing the buttons for their drinks. The machines groaned, struggling against time before finally spitting out a lukewarm soda and a bottle of water. I turned bottles in hand, expecting to see the car waiting where I left it. It wasn't. The lot was empty. For a second, my brain refused to register what I was seeing. Maybe they had moved to another spot, maybe they were just out of sight. I took a step forward, my breath catching in my throat as I scanned the empty parking spaces. Then my phone buzzed, a text from Mom. Let's see how long it takes you to get home. Consider this a lesson in problem solving. I felt my stomach drop. This wasn't a mistake, this wasn't a joke. They left me here. My fingers fumbled as I hit call button straight to voicemail. I tried again and again, each time the same hollow beep echoed in my ear. I stood there gripping the soda so tightly the plastic crinkled beneath my fingers. My heartbeat pounded in my ears, droning, the distant sound of a train horn. They weren't coming back. It should have shocked me. It should have devastated Maybew. Instead, an eerie calm settled over me. This wasn't the first time they'd pulled something like this. When I was 13, they had locked me outside in the middle of a storm because I forgot to take the trash out at 14. They made me walk 6 miles home from school in the rain, as punishment for missing the bus. This was just another lesson, another twisted Wayhoff, proving that I was disposable. I glanced around the station. A handful of people moved about, oblivious to the 16-year-old girl standing there with nothing but her wallet and a growing sense of rage. I wasn't going to wait for them. I wasn't going to play their game. I checked my pocket. $140 savings from my summer job, not much, but enough. The old man behind the ticket counter barely looked up as I approached. Where's the nearest bus station? I asked, my voice steady, despite the turmoil inside me. He pointed down the road. Couple miles that way, I nodded, already moving. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Mom. Don't you dare call your aunt. Your father says you need to figure this out on your own. I blocked the number, then I did exactly what they told me not to. The phone rang twice before a familiar voice answered. Abigail. Swallowed hard. Marigold, can you help me? My voice was steady, but inside I was crumbling. Abigail Marigold's voice was sharp with worry. Where are you? I swallowed hard, gripping the phone so tight my knuckles turned white. I was standing alone at a train station, abandoned by the people who were supposed to love me. My heart pounded in my chest, but my voice came out earless. Diddy. They left me at Marigold. They just drove away. There was a pause. Then, a sharp intake of breath. Stay right there, sweetheart. I'm coming to get you. That was 20 years ago now. I stood in the corner office of Haven Developments Me Company, staring out over the Austin skyline. The city was alive, the streets bellow buzzing with movement, but in my office it was just me and the past creeping back. And my phone sat on my desk, the screen still lit with missed calls, 39 of them. I ignored the unknown numbers, my eyes zeroed in on the only one that mattered. Viv, a name I hadn't seen in 2 decades. My stomach twisted as I pressed play on the first voicemail. Abby, please pick up. Mom and Dad found you. They need your help. Me grip on the phone tightened. That name, that tone. She still called me Abby, like who were kids like Nothing had happened. I exhaled sharply and deleted the voicemail. Next one was just crying by the third. She sounded frantic. Abigail, please AO, don't understand they desperate, just talk to me. I set the phone down before I could smash it against my desk. They had found me, and I knew exactly what that meant. I walked away from them 2 decades ago. With nothing but a bus ticket and a burning need to survive, I worked 3 jobs, slept in a studio apartment that smelled like mold, and clawed my way through college. Every brick of Haven Developments had been built with the life they tried to destroy. Now, just as I was finally free, they wanted back in. I sat down, hands shaking slightly. I ran them through my hair. My reflection in the window was calm, composed, but Mimond was anything but. I knew this day would come, I just hadn't expected it. Tob. Now I scrolled through my voicemails until I saw a name I hadn't spoken in 20 years, Magnus Holloway, my father. I hesitated for half a second pressing play. The moment his voice hit my ears, something inside me froze. You think you're better than us now? His voice was slurred, thick with something I recognized all too well, bitterness and alcohol. We made you, Abigail. Everything you have is because of us. I claim Ed, my jaws, he rambled on. You think you can just erase us after everything we did for you? He scoffed. Well, guess what? Life doesn't work that way. You owe us. The voicemail ended abruptly. A second later, a text popped up. Your father is very disappointed in you, Abigail. We need to talk. Call us. I stared at the message, my chest tight. Disappointed. They abandoned me at a train station, vanished from my life, and now I had disappointed them. The anger was white hot. They hadn't changed, not one bit. I leaned back in my chair, my fingers tightening around my phone as I swallowed the lump in my throat. The part of me that was still 16, standing alone in that train platform, wanted to scream, but I wasn't 16 anymore. I wasn't lost, he wasn't alone, and I wasn't going to run this time. I opened my messages and typed out a response to Vivian. Tomorrow, Denny's on F5 7 a.m. Come alone, or didn't come at all. I hit send, then set my phone down and looked back out at the city. Tomorrow morning I would see Miss Sister for the first time in 20 years, and this time I wasn't afraid. I was already at Denny's when Vivian walked in, eyes scanning nervously for me. She looked almost the same high cheekbones, same tense shoulders, but the years had added something new, the slight slump in her posture, the lines at the corners of her mouth. She had always been the perfect daughter, the one who obeyed, smoothed things over, who played along, but now she looked like someone echoing to many secrets. Our eyes met for a moment, neither of us moved, then she made her way over, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Hey, Abby. I took a slow sip of my coffee before answering. I'm not Abby anymore, I'm Abby. Her smile faltered. Right, sorry. She slid into the booth across from me, fingers fidgeting with the laminated menu. It's been a long time, she said. I didn't reply. I just watched her, waiting for the real reason she was here. She sighed, setting the menu down. You look good. I raised an eyebrow. And you look nervous. Vivian let out a quiet laugh, but it didn't reach her eyes. Yeah, well, this is complicated. No, Viv, it's actually pretty simple. I leaned forward. You want something, just say it. Her lips pressed together. Then she exhaled. Mom and Dad, they're struggling. There it was. She didn't wait for me to respond. The words spilled out, rehearsed, practiced. Dad lost a lot of money gambling. Mom racked up debt. They are drowning. Abigail, the house is in foreclosure. I clenched my jaw, staring at her. They need help, she continued. They need you. I let out a slow, deliberate breath. I don't owe them a damn thing. Vivian flinched. I'm not asking you to forgive them. She swallowed. I just want you to listen. My fingers tightened around my coffee cup. The audacity of it. Listen. Had anyone listened to me when I was 16? Standing alone at that train station. Had anyone listened when I was shivering in the rain? Because character building was more important than basic decency. The first leaned back against the booth, my stomach twisting with something between rage and exhaustion. They didn't just make a mistake, Viv, I said, my voice like steel. They left me at a train station on purpose. She winced. They came back an hour later. I cut in, and Hosfo was that the air between us cracked like a mirror, splitting down the middle. Yersef silence, of unspoken words, of pretending it hadn't been that bad. Vivian blinked rapidly, her fingers twisting in her lap. They thought you'd come home. They thought you'd cheat. Her voice breaking. They thought I'd crawl back. I finished for her like I always did. She stared at the table, her breathing shallow. I shook my head. I'm not their daughter anymore, Vivian. I haven't been for a long time. Her shoulders trembled, but I didn't soften. I reached into my pocket, pulled out a few bills, and dropped them onto the table. If they try to contact me again, I won't be so polite. Vivian stayed seated, staring at the table. I walked away without looking back. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. The next morning I buried myself in work, trying to push the conversation with Vivian out of my mind, it had left a sour taste in my mouth, but I had no intention of letting it control my day. The past was the past, and I had built something real, something no one, not Eventham, could take away from me, or so I thought. A sharp knock at my office door interrupted my focus. Jenny, my assistant, stood in the doorway, her face with something between discomfort and hesitation. "Hey, I think you should see this." She stepped in, phone in hand, hesitating before passing it to me. If frowned and took it. The screen was open too. Facebook. My breath caught in my throat as I read the words on the screen. Her daughter abandoned us in our old age, after everything we sacrificed for her. Below it, another post: we raised her Tobe strong, and this is how she repays us, heartless. I felt a slow burning heat creep up my neck. They were painting themselves as victims, as if they were the ones who had suffered their wear. Hundreds of comments, strangers condemning me, people sharing the posts, some even tagging my company's page. I scrolled through the responses, my stomach twisting. Wow, I can't believe some kids treat their parents like this. What a disgrace, ungrateful brat. I hapesh, rots alone, money changers people. Shame on her. I slammed the phone down on my desk. Jenny shifted uncomfortably. I didn't want to show you, but it's spreading. Clients are seeing it. Some people have even left bad reviews on Haven Development's page, calling you a cold-hearted fraud. My pulse pounded in my ears. This wasn't just a few Facebook posts, it was a full-scale attack. I took a slow deep breath, forcing the tremor from me hands. Who else knows about this? Jenny hesitated. Some of the staff, a Felwoff, are bigger clients. I think some of them are waiting to see how you respond. I nodded slowly. Okay, thanks Jenny. I'll handle it. The moment she left, I picked up my phone and dialed a number I hadn't called in years. Vivon answered on the third ring. Abby. Her voice was wary. My grip tightened around the phone. Did you know about this? A long silence stretched between us. Finally, she exhaled. I told them not to, but they're desperate. Abby, I let out a laugh. Desperate people don't destroy their own children, they just want help. Vivian tried. They think this is the only way to get through to you. I scoffed. By lying, by turning strangers against me. Vivian didn't answer. I shook me head. Even though she couldn't see me, I should have known better than to think they'd change. I hung up before she could see anything else. A text came through immediately after. You ungrateful braddock. That post down. I stared at the words on the screen, a slow day settling over me. Then I opened my own social media account and started typing. Some people rewrite history, Toscape accountability. I won't let them. I hit post and tossed my phone onto my desk. They wanted to fight, fine, let 'em fight. I thought a few Facebook posts were bad enough, then they showed up at my office. It had been a long week of damage control, monitoring our company's social media, reassuring clients that my personal life had no bearing on our work, and ignoring the countless messages from distant relatives who suddenly had opinions about a story they knew nothing about. I was running on little sleep, fueled by caffeine and sheer willpower, when the intercom on my desk crackled. "To life, Abigail." Jenny's voice sounded hesitant. "There's an elderly couple here insisting they need to see you." I froze the coffee in my hand. Suddenly it tasted bitter. "Did they give their names?" I asked, even though I already knew. Jenny sighed. "They said they're your parents." I exhaled sharply, forcing my expression into something neutral. "Tell them I'm emitting." A pause. "Then they're making a scene." "Of course they were." I set my cup down, pushed back my chair, and made my way to the lobby. The moment I stepped through the doors, I spotted them. Celestes, in full performance mode, dabbing at non-existent tears with a crumpled tissue. Magnus stood beside her, arms crossed, eyes scanning the room like he was searching for a fight. The second she saw me, Celeste's face crumpled. "My baby," she wailed loud enough to make heads turn. "You won't even talk to your own mother." I stopped mid-step, jaw tightening. "Gorand." U.S. employees whispered. A few pulled out their phones, recording as if this were some reality show drama unfolding in real time. I swallowed, the bile rising in my throat. Magnus's expression twisted into a sneer. "You've turned into one of those people. Huh, the kind who forgets where they came from." I didn't flinch. "Leave now." Celeste let out a choked sob, clutching her chest like she was moments away from collapsing. "I gave birth to you, Abigail. You raised you, and now you treat us like we're nothing." I clenched my fists. "You are nothing to me." A collective gasp rippled through the lobby. For a moment there was silence, then Magnus's face turned red. "You think your money Maki Sue better than us?" His voice was loud now, meant to draw attention. Celeste drooped to her knees, actually dropped to her knees, and started crying into her hands. "All we wanted was to see you talk to you, but you've become so cruel." A wave of murmurs spread through the crowd. Some people looked uncomfortable, others looked entertained. I had had enough. Stepped forward, lowering my voice to a deadly calm. "If you don't leave right now, I will have security remove you." Magnus took a slow step toward me, his voice dropping to something low and venomous. "You owe us, Abigail." We made Yuho, you are Celeste's. Sobbing suddenly stopped. She lifted her face, her eyes gleaming with something colder than grief. You can't erase us, sweetheart. You'll always be our daughter. I exhaled sharply, then turned to the security guard standing nearby. Escort them out. Magnus let out a bitter laugh. You're going to regret this. Celeste stood up, smoothing her dress like nothing had happened. Poor thing, she murmured. Just loud enough for Thosnerby to hear. Too much money, not enough heart. I watched as security led them out, their voices echoing through the glass doors. I should have known they weren't finished. This was just the beginning. The next day I got a letter from a lawyer. Jenny placed the envelope on my desk, her brows furrowed. This came by courier. It's from a law firm. I didn't move right away. I just stared at it, an odd sense of déjà vu washing over me. Another escalation, another attempt to drag me back into the mess I had spent years escaping. Slowly I picked it up, tearing the top open the moment my eyes skimmed the first few lines. My pulse pounded. My parents were filing a legal claim against me under filial responsibility laws. I let out a short, humorless laugh. Unbelievable. They were actually trying to force me to support them. Financially, the same people who had left me at a train station at 16, who had ignored me for 2 decades, were now demanding that I pay for their mistakes. I dropped the letter onto my desk and pinched the bridge of my nose. Jenny hovered near the doorway. You okay? Exhaled through my nose. Call David. I need to talk to my lawyer. She nodded and disappeared minutes later. I was pacing, my office phone pressed against my ear, as David's calm voice came through. Well, he said after I finished reading him the letter, technically in some states they might have a case. I stopped pacing. You're telling me they can abandon me as a kid, but now I owe them money. He sighed. It's rare, but some courts uphold these kinds of cases depending on the circumstances. Texas doesn't have strict filial responsibility laws, but if they push hard enough, they could still make your life hell. I pressed a hand against me forehead. Unbelievable. They hoping you'll settle. David said that you'll just give them what they want so they don't drag your name through a drawn-out court battle. I laughed bitterly. Then they don't know me at all. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. Mimither's name flashed across the screen. I almost ignored it, but something in me snapped, and before I could stop myself, I hit accept. What do you want? My voice was flat. Celeste's voice came through, syrupy sweet. Abigail, sweetheart, just want to work something out. We wouldn't have to do this if you'd just help us. I clenched my jaw. Help? You? My voice was cold. After what you did to me. She let out a dramatic sigh, like I was being unreasonable. Honey, that was so long ago. Fame's fight. Parents make mistakes, but we're still your parents and we're in trouble. I felt my grip tighten around the phone. You're not my parents. You lost that right the day you drove away. There was a pause, then her voice hardened. If you fight us, we'll take this all the way to court. Do you really want that embarrassment? I almost laughed at the irony. She thought she could threaten me with embarrassment. I felt my anger crystallize into something sharp, something unbreakable. Try me, I said, voice steady. Then I hung up. I stood there for a long moment, my heart beat steady, not from fear but rage. They thought they could break me. They had no idea who they were dealing with. Then they went after my business. I should have expected it. After the lawsuit, after the social media spectacle, after every desperate attempt to claw their way back into my life, of course they wouldn't stop there. But knowing something is coming doesn't make it sting any less. When it finally hits, I was at my desk flipping through paperwork when Jenny knocked and peeked inside, her expression uneasy. You might want to check your mail, she said carefully. I raised an eyebrow but grabbed my phone the moment I saw the subject line. My stomach twisted. Concerning allegations against you. I clicked the email. Open. Abigail, I hope this isn't true, but I wanted to bring it to your attention. We've received multiple anonymous messages claiming you have a history of financial misconduct, particularly in dealings with your family. They allege you stole money, abandoned your responsibilities, and have a track record of deceit. We value our professional relationship, but given the nature of these claims, we need some clarification. The sender was one of our biggest investors. I scrolled further down, my pulse pounding. Attached were screenshots of emails from fake accounts, all repeating the same story, that I had stolen money from my own parents, that I had built my company off their sacrifices, that I was nothing but a liar, a fraud. I exhaled sharply and tossed my phone onto my desk, my hands clenched into fists. Jenny hovered near the door. What going on? I forced myself to take a slow breath. They're trying to destroy me. Her brow furrowed. Who? Grabbed my phone and started dialing. Who do you think? 15 minutes later, I was on the phone with one of my business partners. He hesitated before speaking. Look, Abigail, I don't want trouble of this, but these messages, there's a lot of them. Do you know where they're coming from? I asked, voice clipped, silenced and reluctantly. Some of the accounts were traced back to an IP Linked to your parents, I closed my eyes, gripping the edge of my desk. They had crossed the line. For years they had tried to manipulate me with guilt. When that failed, they tried to humiliate me publicly, and now they were coming for everything. I had built. They had made a mistake because this was war. I called an emergency meeting with my R team. They sat across from me, their faces serious. One of them cleared his throat. Our recommendation: don't engage publicly, stay quiet. Let this blow over. No, I said firmly, I'm not staying quiet, not this time. I turned to my laptop, my fingers moving across the keyboard as I drafted my own statement. For years I suffered at the hands of manipulative parents. When I walked away, I did so to protect myself. Now, after 20 years, they are trying to destroy my livelihood. I will not let them. I hit post. Let them come for me. I wasn't scared anymore. Hours later, my phone buzzed with a text. It was from Magnus. You ungrateful brat, you just made the biggest mistake of your life. I stared at the screen for a long time before typing out a final message. If you continue, I will take legal action. This is your last chance. I hit send. No response, but I knew they wouldn't stop. They wanted war. Fine, I'd give them one. The next day, I received a court summons. Jenny walked into my office, her face pale as she placed a thick envelope on my desk. It's from a law firm, she said carefully. I already knew who it was from. I took the envelope, tearing it open with slow, deliberate movements. The bold official text at the top confirmed my suspicions. Magnus and Celeste Holloway, Abigail Holloway, the grounds neglecting filial responsibilities under state law. A bitter laugh escaped me. So this was their last move. When emotional blackmail, public humiliation, and direct sabotage hadn't worked, they resorted to the legal system. Jenny lingered in the doorway. What do you want to do? I exhaled sharply and reached for my phone. Call David. Tell him I'm on my way. David sat across from me in his office, the lawsuit spread out on the polished oak desk between us. He skimmed the pages, shaking his head. They have a weak case, he said, finally looking up. Texas doesn't enforce strict filial responsibility laws, but if they get enough publicity, it could hurt your business. I clenched my fists. Then make it public on our terms. David raised an eyebrow. You sure about that? I nodded. My decision already made. I've played defense long enough. It's time for people to know exactly who they are. That night, I crafted my statement. I didn't hold back. I told the truth, the full truth about my parents, about the lessons they forced on me, about the night they left me at a train station at 16 and never came back, about how they surfaced only when they needed something. By morning, the post had gone viral. The tide turned almost immediately. Same strangers who had once condemned me for being ungrateful were now disgusted by my parents' actions. Comments flooded and filled with outrage on my behalf. This is beyond cruel. What kind of parents abandon their own child and then try to cash in? 20 years later, I believed them at first, but now they deserve whatever's coming to them. Suing your own kid after leaving them homeless, unbelievable. The shift in public opinion was swift. They had lost control of the narrative. 3 days later, Vivian called. May, her voice was strained, barely above a whisper. They lost everything, Abby. I sat in my car staring at the city skyline that's on them. She let out a shaky breath. They're saying it's your fault. Of course, they were. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel. No, Vivian. It's their fault. Every choice they made led them here. For once, she didn't argue. A week later, I drove past my childhood home. A for sale sign sat in the yard. The place looked smaller than I remembered, almost lifeless. I expected to feel some sense of victory, some kind of triumph, but Allie felt was relief. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need validation. They no longer had power over me, and that was enough. For the first time in 20 years, I finally felt free. No weight on my shoulders, no knots in my stomach, no lingering fear of when they would show up next, trying to drag me back into the past. I had fought so hard to escape. I was home. Austin stretched out beneath my balcony, bathed in golden evening light, a warm breezy against my skin. As I sat with my legs tucked under me, a glass of wine in hand, the chaos had finally settled, leaving behind only silence, but even peace. It seemed had one final test. A knock at my door shattered the quiet. I knew, before I even stood, who it was. I opened it to find Vivian, her eyes swollen, her expression exhausted. Abby, her voice cracked. Please. I didn't move. They have nowhere to go, she whispered. Dad's drinking more than ever. Mom keeps saying they just need one more chance there. Still, our parents. I gripped the doorframe, my heart heavy. She still didn't get it. They made their choice, I said evenly. Vivian's face crumpled. How can you be so what? I cut in cold, heartless, selfish. Tears spilled over her lashes. I just don't want to lose my sister over this. I inhaled sharply, my throat tight. You didn't lose me, I said quietly. They did. Vivian let out a choked sob, her hands trembling as she wiped at her face. They just need. I shook my head. I'm not responsible for fixing what they broke. Her shoulders slumped. I swallowed the lump in my throat and stepped back. Take care of yourself. Viv, then I shut the door for the first time. I didn't feel guilty an hour later. I sat on my balcony again watching the sun dip below Thess. For years their vow had echoed in my head, shaping my choices even in their absence, the guilt, the shame, the WHIFs, but now just silence, and it was beautiful. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I reached Aunt Marigold, the only real family I had ever had. I typed out a message, dinner this weekend, my treat. Her response came almost instantly. Finally, I've been waiting for you to ask. Mexican, Italio. A small smile touched my lips. Mexican extra margaritas. I took a deep, then went to my call log. My parents' numbers stared back at me like ghosts refusing to rest. Slowly, I hit block. No more second chances, no more manipulations, no more manipulations, no more guilt. I walked inside and closed the door behind me. I wasn't running anymore. I was free. Beefaroo. End this story. Let me leave you with something to think about. For years, I carried the weight of a past I never asked for. I let guilt, obligation, and the fear of being seen as ungrateful dictate my choices, but here's what I've learned. Isn't about blood, it's about who truly stands by you. Sometimes the people who should love us the most are the ones who hurt us the deepest, and when that happens you have two choices: let it defy you, or let it go. Walking away doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong. Setting boundaries isn't cruel, it's survival and choosing yourself after years of being told you don't matter. That's liberation. So if you've ever been made to feel guilty for choosing peace over toxicity, let me tell you this: you don't owe anyone your suffering just because they share your DNA. You deserve to be free now. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had to walk away from a toxic relationship? Family or otherwise, how did it change you? Drop a 1 in the comments if this story resonated with you, or let me know where you're watching from, and if you didn't like this video, tell me why. I appreciate all perspectives. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another powerful story. Your support means everything, and I can't wait to share more with you soon. Until next time, choose yourself always.